is the original head, probably pigskin, and I have to tell you, all of the builders of banjo, all the fine builders were in the north. The entire market was in the Confederacy in the south. So if you were a good Confederate young man and you wanted a fine instrument, you had to buy one from the north. Well, what the builders did was really a nasty thing. On each of these lugs you can see an eagle. Okay? They did either that, or it was an American flag, or it was a Union shield. And what you did is that there's a simple bolt underneath. You take it off and pull it off, and so you have a lot of them, a lot of the banjos that have survived that simply have, you can see the outline of where either the flag or the eagle was. And these all made it. There are only, what, 8 lugs on here. On a modern banjo, you have 32. The tighter the head, the louder. And this is a very soft instrument. The neck is walnut. What tells your ear automatically that it is a banjo is a 5th string. Now, if you heard just this, better move up to this. It's a very soft instrument compared to, you heard, that could be a ukulele, but as soon as you hear this, as it snaps, as soon as you hear that, it tells you it's a banjo. You hear pluck with one finger, strum with another, and then your thumb hits the 5th string, so you hear this. It keeps popping off here. It's not happy. I won't show you that on this instrument. Give you an idea of the sound. What's happened is this is pigskin, and it's like rubber right now from the humidity. I don't think it's going to be able to play. I'll try once more. It's not happy. Not going to do it. But, and that's the one thing, these would be tightened. If it's humid like today, you would tighten it up and get the louder sound. But this is, because, and these I can't begin to tighten, they're so locked. The other thing is in Minnesota, in the winter you have to loosen it again, or they split. So it's a cool little instrument, especially when you know the history of what happened with it. It was probably built in Boston. That was one of the main building areas. Now, in a matter of, and that weighs about, it's just a hair over, it's not even 1 pound, 1 ounce, it's a little less. It's very, very light. In less than 30 years, it evolved very, very quickly into this. This weighs about 12 pounds. It is steel chrome rimmed and 32 lugs, beautiful inlay work, and much, much louder. And this, right away you hear this sound. And that tells you it's a banjo. Very, very powerful compared to the other one. Now, this instrument is gorgeous. It's got that inlay work on it. The basic instrument itself was $15, sold through Montgomery Ward's catalog. And $15, another $35, which was a lot of money in 1898, for the inlay work. And on the back, it's chip carved in flowers. That was another $25. And it originally had ivory, which is another $40. Ivory pegs. So altogether, everything this instrument sold for about $150, which in 1898 was an awful lot of money. In the 1890s, there was a style of banjo playing called classic banjo. A lot of finger picking. It's similar to classical guitar. And this will give you an idea of what it sounded like. That type of a thing. So, another thing that existed in the 1890s to about 1920 was banjo orchestras. And every college, including University of Minnesota, had their own banjo club. I've got a picture from the U of 1905, the University of Minnesota Banjo Club. There's 65 men, hair parted in the middle, their tuxedos sitting proudly with their banjos. And it was a whole genre of music: soprano, alto, tenor, bass, SATB. This would be a tenor. It's used as solo work, but in the orchestra, this would be a tenor. This is a soprano. And this is kind of interesting. It came from New York, almost unplayed. It's from 1898 also. And a guy had it at Buckby Company in New York, was one of the main builders. And a man ordered it for his wife, and a little about the history of it. I'm only the second family it's gone to, inherited all the way through, and then sold about 10 years ago. Guy had it made for his wife, either for birthday or anniversary, and this was about the second degree of ornamentation, beside the dots. You know, he had a little more diamonds in there, a little fancier, and he had his wife's name on the heel of the instrument in mother of pearl, and her name was Pearl. Yeah, oh, just like the 8th grade girls. So it's kind of fun. Pearl was not very good. There is no wear on the back of the neck. There's a little bit of wear here, here, and here. That's it. All she did, well, all she could do was. So 3 chords, which I'm sure she played with her kids, and that's it. It sat under the bed and went from generation to generation. And I ended up with it a few years ago. But I'm glad she wasn't very good. It's almost mint. Pearl is known all over America in the banjo world. It's, the owner before was a very active member in the American Fraternity of Banjo, which I am a brother also. And it's been in a lot of concerts and seen a lot of the world. Now, after soprano, alto, and tenor, there is also a piccolo. Now, these do not have metal strings. Metal strings didn't come in until World War I. And when Gibson started making them, the neck is cherry, the strings were gut. And if you put steel strings on a instrument of cherry, it worked. Couldn't take the tension. So there were a lot of these that were destroyed when they tried to modernize. Now in the orchestra, these were an octave higher. This, I only have it about a 6th up. And I've never made it a full octave without them snapping. But the sound is pretty cool. And this would play the descants on top of soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So what I just played. That's a piccolo. And these are made by a company that mass-produced, and they also made some very, very nice instruments, but made them for the masses also, called SS Stewart. And this is SS Stewart, in a little ivory piece, it says, "A Little Wonder." Then, you have the soprano, alto, tenor. I could bring my alto, but you have to have one of each. This is a bass. Now, interesting thing about this is it's had a rough life. It's 26 pounds. It's big. If I were to pick it up, like I pick up a guitar like this, I get it from here to snap off and hit the ground. And it has happened, not to me, but this is not the original neck. This is a guitar neck that was put on. It's of the era. It's a 1920s neck. But these were made before, for playing with an orchestra or a jazz band, before they got amplification. So this, at the moment, has a guitar neck. And you had... but you had... it just figured like a guitar recording in a jazz band. And what's interesting is all the early jazz bands, Louis Armstrong didn't have a banjo player. His banjo player, Johnny St. Cyr, couldn't play the banjo, but he played guitar tremendously, so he had a guitar banjo. It's a banjo body with a guitar neck. And I didn't believe it until I heard that and listened to some Louis Armstrong work, and you can see up here all 6 strings. But most of the banjo players in the early jazz bands played a guitar banjo. So this is, and the head on this looks like skin, but it's actually a synthetic material like, it's of the Kevlar family. It's not a bulletproof banjo, but it isn't affected by humidity, so it's wonderful for Minnesota. But when you get all of these together, the sound is pretty cool to hear the whole banjo orchestra. Then, shoot over here. This is a little mandolin. And mando, different between mandolin and violin, they're two the same. Violin means bow, mando means hand. So this is made out of, it's 50 ribs in here. Brazilian rosewood, ebony, boxwood, and the Brazilian is just beautiful on it. This is a triple environmental whammy. It is elven tusk ivory, Brazilian rosewood, and tortoise. And then all the inlay mother pearl. The back is all carved up on here, so you can't get much more ornamentation on it. But the sound, kind of nice. It's made to be played with a pick. And this was a very expensive instrument in its day. It was from about 1908, and the back, it was like a lute. When, in fact, going back about 500 years, the mandolins that existed were gut strung. And Beethoven wrote for the mandolin, and Hummel, a contemporary, wrote a few concertos for mandolin and orchestra. Other one in this case is from 1908, and it's called a mandolinetto. Just basically guitar-shaped mandolin. And this has a beautiful piece of Brazilian. Looks like melted Crayola crayons, all swirled together. Elven tusk ivory, and the mother pearl, tortoise shell with the inlay of the Elias Hell, the name of the builder on it. It's a loud little guy. Some of the things, besides, you need a strap to really stand up and play this, but that kind of thing is a solo banjo. This was built by, it's an early American guitar from 1850s, James Ashburn, who was a main rival of Martin, CF Christian Frederick Martin, who Martin guitars today. And his workmanship really surpassed it against Brazilian rosewood, In fact, the neck is a solid piece of Brazilian, which is beautiful. Even in those days, you know, for the last few hundred years, they've gotten wood from all over. I told the kids in class, like for the one from France, 1835, made wood from Brazil, wood from Germany for the top, mother of pearl that came from Japan, the ivory that came probably from either Madagascar or Africa, from the continent. And it, you didn't get on the internet and order it and have it FedExed overnight, the raw materials. It took months just to get it. So you order enough, as much as you can afford, make 15, 20 guitars, and then put in the order again. This is a cool little thing. It is 1917 Gibson. It says the Gibson at the top. One of the first archtop guitars. And this is a piece of tortoise. It's the last year they used a tortoise shell. It has been repolished and rebuilt, but it's the original blues box. Something like that. That's out of my realm. Last couple instruments I have, flamenco guitars, and this is an instrument that I bought in Madrid in 1973. Scared to death 19-year-old that went over there to buy guitars. This has been through a lot with me. And it is Cypress. The tap plate on this is clear piece of lucite. So maybe if you can see it looks like a crack. But this was made by another disciple of Ramirez. This is Manuel Contreras. And I was at a shop again about 5 years ago when my son was studying in Spain and called and said, "Dad, you should come over. We have any 22-year-old that wants their father to come over to Europe and spend time to win a ball." He went to class all day and I went to Guitar Builders. A lot of flamenco is regionalized by city. In Sevilla, it's Sevillanas. In Malaga, it's a Malagueña. Granada, Granadilla. So you have the different cities. This is a Sevilla from Seville. Sevillanas.